Hey, what's up, basketball fans? Hopefully your Saturday's off to a great start. If you can slide those fingers over to the thumbs up button, it is always appreciated. We are here to break down this slate. And then later today, when all the teams decide to just tank and not even try, then, we're going to have some different information.
For sure. It feels good to get back on this NBA public video with you, though.
Yeah, welcome aboard. It's been a few days. Let's get after it today, and hopefully everybody can wish you all best of luck tonight. I know it's crazy in the NBA these days. After talking it out with you on members only, though, I think something will be done in the offseason. We get fans back in the stands next year. There'll be a little more pressure to actually play guys. Hopefully we get a little bit more back to normal.
I hope you're right. I'll say that.
Yeah, it can be tough to watch some of these things, though. In the meantime, though, guys, weekly memberships, monthly memberships on board. I've had a couple of you guys ask me about an MLB-only package. We are not doing that this year, but weekly and monthly memberships will get you both sports. We're going to kill it come playoff season, so get on board, and let's keep it rolling throughout the rest of this season. Subscribe if you're new to the station, but let's talk about cash game plays for the day. Look at the guy on the cover right here. We got Chris Boucher. I know you're a big fan. I know you like the idea of potentially rolling with the fade here today because there's a lot of big centers, but in cash games, I think this is a hard one to get away from. No Fred VanVleet, Lowry's doubtful, Siakam's out. Really makes him the best player on the team now, either him or OG. Get a good matchup against the Cleveland Cavaliers. I expect your Cavs to win this game, but there's going to be DFS points to be had. There's plenty of good plays on the Raptors today. And after last game where Boucher ruined the slate, if you didn't use him, or helped you win if you did, he should be very popular today. He's a big upside guy, and they don't have any option. They don't have enough bodies not to play him today.
No, he should get really good love. He deserves to get good love. Massive upside, even at this new price point. Definitely a fade at your own risk in tournaments. A guy you just lock in your cash game lineups. The only reason I'm even thinking about the fade in tournaments is because, like you said, there's other really good centers we want to roster, and you can only play two of them.
There is no doubt about it today. Play two centers. And you are going to have to skip a center or four that you will like.
Amen.
And should like, but you can't play them. You can't play everybody.
Yep.
If I could roster 6 centers today, I would.
Same.
Speaking of the next one is your guy, Stewart. So the one point I want to bring up before we get into this is Grant and Plumlee are questionable. I haven't heard any new Plumlee news. I haven't looked in a half hour, I guess, so I suppose something may have come out, but if you don't know about Plumlee, Stewart may become sneaky. If you do know about Plumlee, everybody knows about Stewart.
Yeah, agreed on that. And, he's a tournament play / cash game play right now because with Plumlee questionable. If we get Plumlee news that he's out, he becomes a close to a must play in all formats. The only reason he wouldn't be is because, like we just mentioned, center position is so deep. Coming off his best game as a pro, going back to his old stomping grounds, played a year at Washington. This is a guy that can walk into DFS points. Finally showed that upside last time out. And even if you don't expect the 40+, he's 4,500. The 25 he'd been putting up is solid here. And I expect if Plumlee is out, he's going to play his minutes and get 30+ again.
If Plumlee's in, I don't think he's the worst play, but I think you should switch your center love because there's other really, really good options. If Grant and Plumlee are out, then it's an even bigger necessity for me. So I do think a byproduct of him playing well last game was also no Jeremy Grant. It just takes away one of the more bigger focal points of this team. Plumlee is the big one, but I prefer Stewart actually if Grant isn't playing either.
Same.
All right, next up, DeAndre Bembry. This is another one of those Raptors guys that is in play today. VanVleet's out, Siakam's out, and Lowry's unlikely to play. It seems like Toronto's tanking. Bembry's a guy, he's not really a great DFS player, but he has been playing really, really well. He's actually thrusted and stuck in a position where he has to create some of the offense. So that should tell you how undermanned the Raptors are in this one right here. It's a good matchup with Cleveland. He's dirt cheap, probably going to be chalk again. Coming off suspension today, fresher than some of the other guys on this lineup. They do get Rodney Hood back today, which I'm just going to go out on a limb and say I don't think that makes up for missing Pascal Siakam.
No, it certainly doesn't. You got a really shorthanded Raptors team, still under 4K, 3,600. He's basically 10Xing every game right now. You just plug him in until his price tag increases. Now with Siakam out as well, it's hard to see him not getting there here.
Like I can see Bembry stinking in the first quarter and maybe looking like a letdown. And then as this game just plays out weird, like he gets there late or he gets there early, doesn't do much. But there's like a floor and ceiling combination here that's hard to ignore. Yeah. Playing his best basketball, like he 10X 2 games in a row. Do I expect him to 10X again today? I don't expect it. But he's in a good spot to do it again, and I don't want to miss out on that at high ownership. And it's very low risk at 3,600.
Agree all the way around.
Next up. Now, there are some guys that are going to be cheap today, that are going to be very, very low owned, that'll take some balls to make these pivots. But for you players with big balls out there, and we know that's not me, so I won't be making this play. But for you guys who like the long shots and like to get different with it, it's so you can't play guys like this when the Milwaukee Bucks just take everybody out of rotation. But maybe I might not get that today. You know, we already know who's in play from Toronto. I'm looking at KCP right now. I don't know, and I'm going to quote you in the Members Only video. I don't know what to make of this Lakers team right now. They play some pretty admirable games without LeBron and AD, and then they're just god-awful the next day. We have Kuzma, Caruso, and Gasol is questionable. But you know who's gotten hot recently? KCP with a couple of monster games over the past week. He is a true wild card on this slate. I can see 8, and I can see 40 DK points. Kind of depends who's in and who's out. He has been shooting the 3-ball well. We know when he gets rolling and his confidence increases, you know, it goes up in the air. I could see the Lakers really getting up to play Brooklyn today. I could also see Brooklyn getting up and just shellacking the Los Angeles Lakers. So this game to me is a true wild card. And if you're looking for an actual wild card with upside, check out KCP. I will say, though, he's a long shot because you should also walk into rostering KCP expecting to be let down. He's done it before. He'll do it again. But he is playing hot right now.
Gotta like that. Good spot against Brooklyn. I mean, you gotta think, even if this game is a little out of hand from the Lakers' perspective, like that's just gonna mean no defense from the Nets. It doesn't take that much for KCP to get there at this price point with a shorthanded Lakers team. I like the call a lot.
The more guys out, the better. Like for me, the keys here, like Gasol doesn't make a big difference to me, but Caruso or Kuzma are out, and all of a sudden he's got to be a focal point of the offense. Like they don't have a lot of scorers left on this team.
Amen.
All right, last up. So your long shot at Taurean Prince. Look, like I don't know if he's a long shot yet. Like it depends on how many punt plays come out, right? Like if we get a bunch of punt plays, then I think Taurean Prince becomes relatively low owned. If we don't get a bunch of information, he should get some love today. So it's really hard to say early on.
For sure. I mean, this is more of just a play I like as opposed to a long shot. He's playing really well right now for a Cleveland team that kind of needs his size and his offense. He's 35 plus in 3 straight now. He gets this Raptors team that's, you know, decimated by injuries, rest, whatever you want to call it. Still really affordable at 4,600, and he's a cog in my machine today. I like him quite a bit at this price point.
I know he was big for us the other day. You hard recommended him when you did the write-up the other day, and he was awesome. That's 3 straight games where he's been awesome. So riding a hot hand. It's not a bad – I mean, we can go back a couple years, but Prince is a good basketball player. Not great, but a good basketball player who's been a starter at the NBA level. I know Cleveland's going with the youth movement, so you didn't expect him to see major run, but he's playing well right now. They're giving him good run. He's taking advantage of it when out in the court. He's a very capable player. For all the guys in the NBA coming off the bench who don't see a role as big as they deserve, like Prince could be a starter for a lot of teams.
For sure. We've seen it before.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right. Last minute pivot off of DFS talk. I want to go back to my daily bitch session, which is the product that the NBA is currently putting out. I'd be interested from the audience out there. What can the NBA enforce on these teams so we start seeing not fake injuries? Maybe some of these guys need to be healthier because in years past, we've never seen this many dudes out for extended periods of time. Injuries happen. It's part of the game, but it's getting to the point where it's absolutely flabbergasting. You don't know what's real and what isn't. Like, guys, tell me what you think. What could the NBA do right now to put a better product out there? Because you and I were talking on the members only video. Like if I bought 4 tickets to the Bucks game last night to go see Giannis and Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, and I ended up watching Jeff Teague and Thanasis Antetokounmpo, not the real one, I would be a little bit perturbed. And I don't know if I'd want to spend my money there again.
I think there's only one thing really the NBA can do, and I've talked about it before, and I think it's coming, is shorten the season. You know, everyone wants the season shortened. The regular season doesn't mean as that much as is. I think if you see it shortened and then you get, you know, more stringent penalties for guys resting, et cetera, that will really cut it.
I don't know what can you really picture them shortening the season?
Yeah, I can. Okay.
I struggle to see the owners dealing with less money, but the way this is working out, like the product is hurting. And, you know, I get daily DMs that people tell me they can't play NBA DFS anymore because it's just too much of a shit show. And I completely understand. But I think you're getting to a point too where the product itself, even from a non-sports betting, not DFS angle, is becoming less than desirable. So I'm not saying you're wrong that they're going to shorten the season. I just don't know if they would actually consider that. I do agree with you, though, like stricter penalties. Like you've got to like the Clippers, this last minute BS of pulling guys and stuff like that. Like it's just really bad for the fans.
Yeah, it's awful. It's such a bad look, as you mentioned. And yeah, I don't disagree with you. I'm sure it would take a lot for them to be willing to, give up games in the season. That said, I'm sure they could work something out. It just makes the games they do play that much more of high demand. So I don't know.
I blame Popovich for this BS because, like back in the 80s and the 90s, we used to watch Michael Jordan and the Bulls and all those teams back then, the Pistons, and think of all those teams. Back in the 90s, like Stockton and Malone played every single day, right?
Yeah.
Like this was an everyday thing. They played the same length season. They played well into the playoffs. Guys' careers were lasting just as long. I'm almost wondering of how much they coddle players these days if that's not a byproduct of guys getting injured a little bit quicker. Like they're not in shape for this stuff.
And it's a players' league now. I mean, they run the league. So, like, if they want rest days, they're going to get rest days.
I mean, that's the other portion of this. Like, you look at what the Thunder are doing right now in just flat out not playing Al Horford. I get that Shai is really injured. He was hardly playing before that. They are literally tanking. The Raptors are in the same boat right now. And it's becoming a less watchable product. And this hits us as people who make our living evaluating DFS. I get why people bow out of this portion of the season and wait for the playoffs to come back and things like that. But like, just for me as an NBA fan, like I want stuff I can be excited about. Like there's so many games on the docket these days. If it wasn't for DFS, I would have zero interest in watching.
Amen to all of that.
Like if you don't play DFS or sports bet, how do you watch this as a Thunder fan?
You don't.
Amen. All right, guys, that's enough of that. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Click that thumbs up button, and we'll see you guys again tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.